champion of the world. Shout out to TD Sports. TD Sports. Let's go, chat.
Gotcha.
TD Sports Talk in the house. Let's go.
Shout out to TD Sports, man. B. Norman Jr., man. See you taking pictures out there and with that New York doing big things, man. Keep doing your thing.
Yeah, buddy!
What's good, everybody? Hope all is well today. We're back-to-back days on the weekend. Usually we don't do this, but we got an interview coming up. We're bringing somebody on the show. October 15th, 8 o'clock, 8:01 p.m. East Coast time. You know, look at the screen. You see my man Ricardo Figueroa holding the divisional title there. I think that's the WBA. And, and then there's Jose Roman Chiito. And that was before the fight. I believe that was before the fight. It could have been afterwards, because I think they don't take the actual belt. But yeah, my man Ricardo's going to come on with me and D Free later on. That's him again, right here before the fight. We spoke about it yesterday. We talked about what we thought was a robbery. It was a close fight, but, like I said, the robbery is because of that 98-91 score, a little shaky in my opinion. So today we're going to bring in the manager, bring in Ricardo, and he's going to talk a little bit about the fight, what he thought. And then he's going to talk about these fighters. I mean, that's not the only guy he manages. He manages a lot of good fighters, and we'll talk about it. One of them is could be a diamond in the rough. He's promoted by Miguel Cotto Promotions, and by Top Rank as well. And then he's got another handful of fighters as well that are not too shabby as well. So first things first, let me say what's up to my guy, D Free. D Free, what's good with you, bro?
Hey, now what's good with you, Thomas?
Chilling, man. Just living a dream, I guess. Living a dream. And shout out to you, just became a new member. Oh, good looking out. Salute to you for being a channel member. Thank you. I appreciate that. And shout out to my man B3 Picks up in the building. Salute to you. You're missing the E in there. You're missing the E in there. And he says, "Let's go green." That's right. Let's go green. Go subscribe to B3Picks, .com, where he gives his picks, boxing picks every week. You make a little bit of bread. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, so today we got my man Ricardo coming up, and I think he just came up aboard. So I'm going to bring him on the screen without further ado. Let me bring my man Ricardo Figueroa. What's going on, Ricardo?
What's going on, Tom? How you doing, champ? Thanks for having me, brother.
Oh, absolutely, man. I love when you come on because, you give us an update and let the people know, everybody talks about the more popular guys, the big quote unquote stars, but nobody talks about the prospects, the guys coming up, the guys that are really grinding to get to that spot, and those are the guys that really make the big fights, in my opinion, and why, in my opinion, we love boxing. We love to see, we love to see the grind. We love to see the guys come up and work. And, you represent a good handful, dozen to dozen fighters, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to talk about it today. Yesterday, we spoke a little bit about Roman and his fight this past weekend. We want you to touch up on that and let us know how he's feeling as well, and yeah, man. And just real quick before you start, just let us know who you represent. I've said Real Fighters Boxing Management. I don't know if I said that right, but let us know, tell the people, who you are.
5 years on the grind, Real Fighters drives from my fighters grower. Been doing it quite some time. I started, like I said, a young man, and kind of landed on my lap this boxing. So it's been a great ride, but it's been a roller coaster. Once you get in the game, you start realizing, that what it's all about, man. What it's as far as just having fighters, earning money. Popular.
Hold on one second. Is anybody else hearing is that just me, or is this the sound is like off a little bit?
No, it was cracking a little bit.
Yeah, I think the connection's a little bit off, so just want to make sure.
Let me see. You know what? Let me. I still sound off.
Yeah, come off and come back in.
Yeah, let me try
And that might do the trick.
All right, bet.
Yeah. All right, so we're just gonna figure that out. B3 Chieto's a hell of a boxer. Yes, indeed. I mean, I thought he outboxed Smalls pretty clear in that fight. You back?
Let me see. Let's try this again now.
You sound good now. It doesn't seem choppy.
How is this? That better?
It sounds better. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I said, long journey, man. So, basically 2005 I had comeback fight of the year. Ali say a lot of people thought he was done. He's better known for being the first guy to ever put Prince Nassim down. And he came to me actually. He wanted to do a comeback. He was knocked out by Nate Campbell. And he saw something in me, from my experience with the younger guys. And it was great, man. That was one of my best moments when I'm talking about how it all started. And then just grinding, man. I had a couple of other fighters, talented fighters. Unfortunately, we didn't make it all the way to the top, but you just keep. The whole point of this is helping young men and young women to stay out of the streets and give them an opportunity to have a fair shot in the ring, as far as managing, putting them in there with the right opposition. It's not just winning. It's about putting them in there where they're fair competition and they have a good chance to win. And then just going grassroots, I have a lot of my fighters, we have them, from young, these programs that we have in Puerto Rico with my head trainer, Emilio Lozada. A lot of kids, we have about 30, 35, 40 kids walking in there daily after school program, just training. And of course, Puerto Rico, we always know that it's really heavy with the boxing over there. So, we've been able to capitalize on that with some good young talents. And here we are, we're about, 10, 11, 12 pro fighters. And they're all pretty good contenders. They're coming up. Some are up like Santana and Juan Zayas and like the Romans that are just, world ranked contenders already. And we also have, young guys coming up. So, we're in the game for the long haul.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. So before we start, I wanted to, let us know what your plans are with fighters. And, and I got a few fighters I got listed here. I got some pictures here as well of some fighters that I tend to like. And one of them, which we know from the Bronx, we'll talk about that. But, tell us like the plans towards the end of the year and the beginning of 2026. Let's talk about this past Saturday. Chito, he had a fight with Tamir Smalls. He had to face a little bit of, adversity. He got dropped in the third round. But in my opinion, and even D Free as well, he agreed. We thought that Roman composed himself well in the second half of the fight and pretty much won almost every round, maybe except I think the 8th or the 9th round. There was one round I kind of gave Smalls. But other than that, I thought Roman boxed. So what is your opinion on the fight?
Well, my opinion is that we didn't get no brotherly love in Philly, man. And, it's supposed to be the city of brotherly love, and we didn't get the love out there, Nor did they tribute, give a little tribute there to Rocky. My man got rocked and he got up and, he won the fight. But all kidding aside, man, respect to the team Smalls, just from jump. I like to acknowledge teams when they're respectful and they're, professional, because this is what it is. Very good people, no trash talking. They were, thankful for the opportunity. We came into their town, again, Hackett did the same thing. So, real fighters, even like goes with the name of my company, we fight, man. We look for the best opportunities for our guys. I honestly felt when we were offered this fight with Tahir Smalls that my kid had a really good chance of winning the fight. Again, we found out that we knew he had a puncher's record, but the kid could punch. Kudos to him. He has good, solid punches. But, kudos to my kid, man. He took that guy's best shot. And he got up, man, and honestly, I've watched the fight several times, and I feel my fighter won. When you say robbery, a lot of people, what is a robbery? To me, when you take away the essence of the actual combat, the fight, you have a guy that came in there, Apache territory, and he fought his heart out, man. And these scores sometimes, this is what turns people off from the sport that we love, that people say, that's why I don't watch boxing. They see a guy, get knocked down, get back up, and control the fight. And you don't even give him the benefit of the doubt with a decent scorecard. 55, 54. Okay, we lost a close fight. You can take that, but 98, 91, man, it's like even without the knockdown, you're trying to say my kid didn't have a chance to win, and that's just incompetent judging. It's just very, very upsetting. Very upsetting.
Yeah, indeed. Go ahead, D3.
No, I thought the same thing. I was like, the 95, 94 was more what I was looking at. I could see there was a couple of rounds it could have went either way. But like Thomas said, I thought Perez won that fight. But I mean, I'm sorry, Ramon won that fight. But is there anything? I know you're not a trainer, but is there anything that you saw that Ramon could have did anything different to pull out the victory?
Well, of course, in boxing, we all know, and this is stuff that we talk about. If you can hear my trainer, he's a world-class trainer from Puerto Rico. He was a trainer of the year in Puerto Rico, 2023. So he had great instructions. He was telling him we need a little more volume. Even before we came out the fight, I personally told him we need to close the rounds strong. We're in his backyard. You need to close the rounds. That I was very specific on that, and I feel that those were the little gray areas that he could have done a little better, a little more volume, specifically towards the end of the rounds. If you notice, he pretty much controlled the pace of every round, including the round that he got cracked. He was controlling the pace of the fight. He wasn't just boxing and moving around. If you notice, at many points of the fight, he was walking him down and or in the middle of the ring, just smart boxing. And it goes back to, again, we know his record. He's 14 wins. Literally 15 wins because we fought. This is the dark side of boxing. When you don't have a promoter, you take your kid to DR, Dominican Republic, Colombia, even in Puerto Rico. And as a manager, you have to pay for these fights because the promoters will give you a slot. But you pay the opponent, you give your fighter a little bit of money, say, hey, guys, we're keeping you busy so you don't lose faith until we get this big fight, And he had a good fight in the Dominican Republic that's on videos on YouTube. Against this guy named Jose Luis Perez, and this guy 6 rounds he busted the guy up and everything, and BoxRec never even acknowledged that fight. So back to the like I said, the things that happen in boxing. But we going back to the Roman fight, here's a kid that just the instructions were clear. You're gonna outbox this guy. You're gonna take him into the deeper rounds, and you're gonna beat this guy based on your skill and agility. He's 15-1, well 15-2 now, but with 6 knockouts. You're fighting a guy that's 15-0 with 11 KOs. The math tells you you're not gonna sit there and bang with this guy, And even when he did get caught in the close quarters, he got caught, and the power showed. So I think Roman, he outboxed this guy beautifully after he got dropped, and that's what boxing is. It's skill. You have a guy, you're walking like through a minefield. And I believe my guy passed the test. I think he did a great job. Could he have done a little bit better, like we're talking about, closing out the rounds a little bit more? Of course, that's part of the game. A little more volume, of course. But when you go down to the numbers and the stats, my kid outlanded him, and he was more efficient with his punches, better percentage, and he landed the punches. Combinations, body shots. My kid landed. Here's a taller guy. He landed the more wicked, efficient body shot. So I think he fought a good all-around fight.
And I agree. I think the second half of the fight, I think the knockdown might have hurt Smalls because he was loading up a lot in the second, in the second half of the fight, missing a lot of punches. Roman made a miss, and that's where the efficiency comes in. So Smalls was throwing a lot. He threw more punches, but Roman still landed more with less punches because he made him miss a lot. He was loading up, and I think the knockdown made Roman, say, all right, I got to do this and do that. They made adjustments. He got caught with a real good punch off it. He was trying to do an uppercut, which almost landed, by the way. Right. And that was one of the adjustments. He didn't really throw that punch again the rest of the fight. He didn't really try to do that again. And so, that was part of the adjustments that they made. So I thought the last 5 rounds, if anybody want to argue the first 4 rounds, the first round was kind of even. I thought the second round, Roman won. Even the announcers were saying it. That was a clear round. The third round, Roman was winning that round too until he got caught. Correct. So, and then the fourth round, he was still trying to recover his legs. But after
look,
that,
if you look at the 4th round, he was in the pocket because those were the instructions. It was like, all right, don't just back up because this guy's gonna be looking to win you with a big shot again. And that's where the instructions are key. It's almost like you don't have to retrieve, right? To be in the you got dropped. His cobwebs were coming back pretty good because he came back pretty good out that corner. And the instructions were you're gonna stand close enough in the ring in there so you could catch him in between shots.
Yeah.
Without giving him the room. If you notice, he was best when he was trying to throw his bigger shots. Once he was inside, because Roman, even though he's taller, Smalls actually has a longer arms.
Yeah.
Notice in the mid-distance fight, Roman did pretty well picking him with the combinations because Smalls was just trying to, like you said, load big shots on him. And that, like you said, it hurt him. He was looking for big shots after that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you know, the instructions are there. They made better adjustments. Smalls' corner didn't really make much adjustments after that. They looked like there was a sense of urgency in the last couple of rounds in Smalls' corner too. You know, and I thought when they announced the victor, he didn't seem like he won either. I mean, I think D3 pointed that as well. Like, I mean, you know, maybe we're nitpicking a little bit. He didn't seem like he won the fight either.
Well, body language says a lot in fights, you know. When the fight is over, you look at the fighters, and they that tells you there was a look of worriness. They were worried in that corner, you know. We knew once I heard 98, 91, I knew we were getting robbed.
Yeah.
Because once you hear something like that so atrocious, I was like, the fix was in the sense of this judge, regardless of what was going to happen, he was going to give Smalls a fight.
Yeah.
The other judges seemed a little more competent. Again, still the other 96, I cannot give him 5 rounds. I can't give him 6 rounds. I'm sorry. He was a bigger puncher. You understand? We admit that. But the better fighter was Jose Roman. You know, you go round by round. It's called boxing, you know. And if you go round by round, Jose won the fight. His body language, once the fight was over, he looked at us. We were like, yeah, we got this. You know, we won the fight. Now, are they going to raise your hand is a question. And
the announcers too. The announcers thought he won as well. You know, 5 rounds apiece. I think that's fair as you can get. You know, so 95-94, right? So the knockdown makes you lose, but you know, 6 rounds is still. I don't see 6 rounds he won.
To the point. Of, what's your again? I'm sorry. What's your name again, sir?
Yeah.
D3.
All right. I'm sorry about that. So to your point, though, you're absolutely right. When you're dominating a round, you're dominating the round, and you let the other guy throw a little flurry at the end, closing the round, that really affects a lot of the judges. It's just we've known boxing. That's what I always say. Close the round strong because it's easily forgotten. Like in round 6 is a good example. Roman was winning that round super clearly. And Smalls landed a nice right hand, and you could see that it affected Roman.
Yeah.
So that round right there, you could sway the judges based on just that one good punch. Now, if you look at the body of work that we put through the entire round, Roman wins the round, but he lands a big punch close to the end of the round, which sometimes, you know, you could persuade the judges. So, you know, again, I'm not saying if you give me the fight 55-54 and he wins, it's you can't say, wow, it's a robbery. It's a close fight. I saw my guy win. A lot of people saw him win, but it's a fair judging. Okay, hometown. He was the aggressor most of the time, you know. So let's be real. It's a good close fight.
Yeah.
But when you do that, the way the judging was presented, you're disrespecting the fighter. You disrespect the sport because you're not crediting that man for getting up from that floor and outboxing Mr. Smalls, man.
Yeah. And it's like you're diminishing his character too as a fighter. It's like you in that judge's opinion, you make it look like he got washed, and that's the opposite of what happened. You know. So my man Bruce Gass says rematch him in Puerto Rico. He says I bet he won't. Nah, they won't do it.
Yeah, listen, it's boxing. New York, give me another show anywhere else except Philly. You know, it's so to ask. You know, we came to your hometown. We gave you an opportunity for the belt. You know, it shows you we're here to fight, and we're not shying away from anything.
Exactly.
But we feel that the wrong man's hand was raised that night. That's all. And we were listen. I spoke to his father. Like I said, class act gentleman. Him and the son. The hope, like I said, man, nothing against the fighter. Congratulations, they won. You know what I mean? Like I went up to them, shook their hand like a man that we are. We're not sore losers here. You know, somebody comment, "Oh, you don't be a sore loser." because you asked for a rematch. It's not being a sore loser. It's saying it was a good fight. I feel my guy won, and I feel that this fight merits a rematch. That's not being a sore loser. That's somebody see good fights, and then that I'm willing to put my guy in there to give us good fights. That's what this is about.
Yeah. No, exactly. And this is coming off of kind of a long layoff because the last fight you didn't get to fight, so he trained, and then what happened. I'm not going to get into details, and then now he's got to wait a few more months and fight again. So that's a delay too, and that's what hurts the sport, and it hurts fighters as well.
Listen, nobody knows what happens behind the doors. So this fight was supposed to happen in June. It was supposed to be in the Garden. Unfortunately, they called us off the card in June. We were supposed to go in June, and then they told us we're not fighting in June. And I was like, fine, but I told Roman we have to stay ready, we have to stay prepared because I know this fight is cooking already. So when they called us for the Philly fight, we know where we're going. We know we're going into Philly. That's literally Boots' fighter. Again, but it's still a sport of boxing, so you hope that at least if your fighter does the performance and he does what he needs to win, that you're gonna get a fair decision. That's just what you hope for. Are we surprised we didn't get a fair decision? Not at all. But again, if you're not gonna give us a fight, then give us, a little dignity in defeat. Don't be so blatantly terrible at putting out a scorecard like that. Because again, it's just disrespectful to the athlete and the sport.
We're going to comment. I honestly feel Roman is one of the best welterweights out there, and I hope he gets a big promoter to sign him. The welterweight division is up there. I mean, and he's a tall guy. He's very difficult to fight. I mean, Roman is difficult against anybody at 147, in my opinion. I'm not just saying that. I mean, when you got a tall guy like that, I mean, look at a guy like Fundora. I mean, he's got he can box, and he's got a good decorated amateur career as well. Nobody knows that. Roman's got a nice amateur career as well. I believe he was a finalist in Puerto Rico, right? Wasn't he?
He was a finalist in the pre-Olympic games. He lost that fight Lester Martinez that fought Mobili the other night in the Canelo card? Yeah. Roman lost to him. That was his final bout in the Olympic qualifiers, man. Roman, he fought Antonio Palmetta, internationally. So he's a decorated amateur fighter. The thing is, we have to be realistic in boxing, and it's sad in a way, but it's just fact. So you go back to, it's called boxing, but people like punchers. People like the big knockouts. They like the big flash, more of the fighting. It's not until fighters get the recognition that they deserve for winning their fights that people start saying, you know what, just embrace him. He's a great boxer. He might not be knocking people out, but like Ivan Calderon, Puerto Rico, one of the best boxers that we ever had, purist.
Yes.
Guy, he couldn't crack an egg. It's just the truth. But he'll box anybody's head out, and so the fans started embracing the whole Matador thing. When he would make the fighters miss, it would be like, ole, ole.
Yeah, I remember that.
So Roman, unfortunately, he's not your biggest puncher. So, even when he was signed with the Bella Entertainment, he's winning a lot of decisions. And basically, promoters want to see the big knockout. So, unfortunately, we took one loss, and the promoter gave up on him, not realizing that all you got to do is just keep fighting him. And believe it or not, he's going to beat a lot of guys that people think that are really good, that are punchers and are knocking people out, but they never faced a good boxer. And that's what the sport is boxing. So, that's the part that I feel unfortunate, that I don't feel that he's being appreciated for the skill level that he brings to the sport. He's a tall fighter, but he's not running. He's boxing.
He's boxing. Yeah.
He works the center of the ring. As you notice, with the Hackett fight, he also listens. Personally, we knew Hackett was coming to the fight having a little weight issue, and I emphasized. I said, Roman, in the clinches, you're gonna push him back, make him work more, make him get tired, not just from throwing punches or not. If you notice, this fight was completely different with Smalls because it was a different strategy. It wasn't a pushing, more like wearing the other guy down, because we knew that this kid didn't have that physical strength that we needed to wear him down with Hackett. It would be more of a skill level fight. Hackett strong, skilled as well, but we knew that we had to kind of wear him out being a little more physical. In this fight, we decided that we knew we had the more skilled fighter and that we would be able to outbox him. And I think it played out to a T, except,
Yeah.
you know, again, could he have done a little bit more? Absolutely. We all know a little more volume. The trainer was telling him, look a little happier, just more punches, you know, for that same reason. So we can look busier in the fight.
Yeah.
But then again, you're also looking at a kid that's fighting a guy that can punch, a heavy puncher that just dropped him. So he's also being smart, and he's not overextending himself, throwing too many punches, because he doesn't want to get caught in between again. So, you know, it's a balance there. It's a balance.
How
Shout out to
was
the people in the chat.
Lamon's spirit after the fight? How was his spirit? Was he did he feel like I won and this one just got away from me, or was he down on himself?
Well, let me tell you, man, that's why you gotta love these guys, man. It's more like just saying sorry to the team that he didn't get the win, and it's our job to make him understand that he did a great fight and he did win his fight. So he wasn't down on the fight, like he didn't feel like he lost. He was just disappointed that we didn't come away with the win. And that's our job to remind him that wasn't the case. You had a fantastic fight, and that we're extremely proud. You know, we had a lot of people came out to see him. We went out to eat. We celebrated like the champ that he is, man. You know, he got in the ring. He put it all on the line, man, and respect to him and his family was all there. His friends were there. You know, we're here to support him, man. Win, lose, or draw. That's what a real team does. You know, we got your back. You know, and but he's received. In fact, before we walked out, I told him the world's gonna know you today, son. You know, it wasn't the victory that we expected, but the world knows him today. You know, everybody, we've received a lot of love. He's received a lot of people telling him, listen, I didn't know who you were, man, but you got a fan now, man. You know, respect you. You're a great fighter, you know. And of course, all the people that have always been supporting us, just telling us, you know, listen, you won. Listen, the companies, a lot of big people that are in the game, they saw him win. They took the time to tell me, Ricky, your guy won. So, you know, and losing, sometimes you win. And in this case, you know, he won a lot. You know, he has a moral victory. You know, he has a moral victory.
Okay, yeah, that's what's up, and it's good to hear. And you know, we speak behind the scenes, and you also said you got a couple text messages to some big time players that kind of agreed that Roman had won the fight. So that's good, because you know that helps for him in the future, and hopes to get in another fight soon. You know, and kind of back in the mix.
Yeah, well, right now, you know, we're game. So I asked for the rematch. I asked Matchroom for the rematch. I asked the father, his trainer father, and I asked him, and they said they're down. They said they're down, that they will go anywhere as well and fight us. So I appreciate that, them saying that they're down to do it. And if they will give us the opportunity, I'd appreciate it even more. You know, because we all know that I believe TV saw that was a good fight. So, you know, it's a deal for TV as well. You know, put us back.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the better fights on the card. I mean, you know, I mean, the co-main event was good. You know, we got to see a kind of good knockout, and there was some good fights in the undercard, but that was one of the best. One, and Boots obviously washed the guy he fought. He was way levels above. So yeah, that was definitely one of the better fights on the card. Good competitive 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's what it was. That's what it's all about, and that's what we're here for, to give the fans some good fights.
Yeah. Salute to everybody in the chat. I see you. Thanks for coming through. Tay, you know, Stop Motion MMA, B3, Bruce Gas, my man Angel Diaz, and channel member, my man BVO, who's always, you know, got some jokes to say about me and Puerto Ricans. You got to watch out with this guy BVO, Ricardo. When you come to the garden, next time he comes, we'll stay away from him. But you know, that's my guy. He's a channel member. I appreciate him. Salute to BVO, Angel Diaz. Salute. So let's go forward. Let's talk about some of the fighters that you manage as well. Any upcoming fights, and you know, I'll ask you for some fighters if you don't mention them as well. You know, but what's next on for Real Fighters?
Man, listen, you know, we've been blessed with a hot, heavy schedule, man, and we're closing out the year in style. So we got Jan Santana defending his freshly won WBO NABO featherweight championship. We're gonna be fighting in Puerto Rico. In the town of Lares. Big fight for Jan Santana, defending for the first time. You know, we came off that beautiful win at the Garden. Big things for him coming. He's going to be the main event in Puerto Rico. You know, he's the adopted son from Puerto Rico, man. He's a Dominican born and raised, but, you know, Puerto Rico has embraced him. He trains with us. His camp, he goes through tremendous, part of, again, boxing and sacrifices. He's one of my fighters that I want to say sacrifices the most. He has a beautiful family. He leaves them for 3 months, 4 months at a time, and he just goes deep into camp, man. It's just headquarters, a little TV, and like the old days, man, just 4 walls, and he eats, sleeps, and everything is boxing, man. And that's why he's seeing, we're seeing the amazing talent in Yan Santana progress. I started working with him when he had 2 fights in the Dominican Republic, and we signed him to Miguel Cotto Promotions, and we brought him to Puerto Rico, and ever since then he's just gone, skyrocketed into stardom. He's ranked number 9 in the world right now by the WBO, and right after the 15th, soon after, we'll be announcing some big fights coming for Yan Santana early in 2026.
Nice, man. I'm a big fan of Yan Santana. Featherweight division, there's a lot of good fighters in that division, and it kind of stinks because there's a few fighters that I rock with as well. So besides Yan, I got a prospect. Keith Cologne's fighting this Saturday. That's one of the guys. He fights at featherweight, and then a guy that he called out, which I thought was great and very genuine too, not planned. Shushu Carrington. He called him out before his last fight.
Well, it goes back to, again, behind the scenes. If you're familiar with Shushu, with the WBO, he won the same title a couple of years back. And ironically, the WBO, they like to do a lot of functions in our gym in Puerto Rico. We have a nice space, and it's a nice area there with parking that they can. So they've honored Bud Crawford in our gym as well. So it's a real good hotspot for the honoring of the fighters when they win their belts. So ironically, Shushu wins his belt, and Santana was there already training, and he was like, man, I want to call him out, Rick. I want to say, Sunday. That. And I said, this is his moment. He's receiving a belt. I said, you're going to keep working hard. And then one day you're going to be in the position that you're going to be able to do that, because it's this, you got to earn your respect as well. It's not just getting behind a mic and calling somebody out. It's more like, what have you done to call somebody out? So, I keep my fighters grounded as well. You can't just talk out your face. Like, who are you? And literally he would have been right. Who are you?
Yeah.
So when he's able to do it on the stage, and at his event, now is the time. Now is the time that, after these big fights, because this is what it is. It's not offense to anybody. It's people want to see the good fights. So basically, fighter that calls out another fighter, that's just what people want to see. And they have to be in the position to do it. And Santana proved that he belongs. He belongs on the top tier of the featherweight division. And these are the fights that we want. Robesi Ramirez, he's not at my level. Last time
I was about to mention him too. That's good that you said that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Last time I checked in the rankings, we're number 9 and he's 13. So what are we talking about? This my guy's ranked higher than you at the moment. Robesi, you talk about somebody like Ramirez. He lost his second fight. So he lost a couple of fights. You actually need Young a little more than he needs you. If you want to be honest about it, because Young is undefeated right now with the WBO, and he can fight the names of the shoes and all these other top fighters at featherweight. So don't act like it's too far-fetched. Trying to make the best fights. He's the kind of fighter that I've never had an issue with, where you tell him you're fighting this guy and there's like, oh, is he tall? Is he southpaw? He's a guy is like, who is he? What's his record? Sign me up. Like, that's just who he is. So it is not, this isn't fake. When he calls out Shushu, it's not fake. He wants to fight him.
Yeah, and I felt the same energy, being around him and getting to speak with him and having lunch with you guys and stuff. So I felt the same energy, like very genuine, and he wants to fight. He wants to fight the top guys, and he wants to be champion. So hey, man, there's nothing else you can ask for in a fighter.
And that's what one guy. If you're trying to be the world champion, you're not want him to say, I don't want to fight this guy or fight that guy. Who do I have to be the way? Not only world champion, he wants to be the first Dominican fighter to ever unify all the titles. And that's something that he's saying for a very long time. And that's how you talk things into existence. You gotta want it.
Yep.
And he's been very adamant about that. He said, I want to be undisputed at featherweight. So, we're in the right direction. direction.
Okay. Anybody else in particular? Let's see. What about this guy right here? Let's see. Put him on the screen.
Tito Zayas.
Let's see. There he goes. Yeah.
Zayas, man, a tremendous talent. He's my bantamweight, 13-0, 10 explosive knockouts as well. Tremendous body puncher. Out of the 10 knockouts that he has, 9 of them are actually body shots. Tremendous talent, very fast, very calculated up there. He brings a lot of excitement. He could end the fight at any moment with a big hand. So he's fighting for the WBA Continental of America. Is actually the same title that Roman just lost to Smalls, but at the bantamweight division. He's fighting a very good fighter that only has one loss to Scrappy Ramirez. And it was by decision. I just can't remember right this second, but he's going to be his opponent on November 22nd, in that big event in Puerto Rico in Bayamon. That Juanma Lopez is fighting that big exhibition with
so that's real. I thought they were just joking around. So Juanma is really fighting?
Yeah. So it's an exhibition.
Oh,
It's a good moment to talk about these things because remember I'm all boxing.
Yeah.
And I tend to, fresh people's minds. Unfortunately, boxing has lost a lot of fans again because of the shit, that happens with judges and a lot of decisions. It turns the casual fan away. The thing with the YouTubers, you take it with a grain of salt because it's almost a lot of people take it as a disrespect to boxing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's bringing eyes that wouldn't be on boxing. It's bringing eyes that are curious to see these guys that are actually saying, I want to box. And they have something to compare to. So ironically, you have a guy that's a YouTuber that's fighting, and then you see the undercard, and you see the levels of these actual fighters, and you're like, wow, so this is real stuff. These guys can really fight because obviously the YouTube guys are trying to do it. And, kudos to Jake Paul. He's practiced hard and he's done well. And he fights pretty decent, considering who he is. But most guys, they just look like clowns out there throwing punches all over the place. They don't know what they're doing. And with that said, it's putting those eyes in there. It's pulling fans. Juancito Zayas is a perfect example of that. Juancito Zayas fought one time with Gallo the producer. He's also like a blogger from Puerto Rico. And he has a tremendous following. And he fought on his card. And he went from literally like 5,000 followers on Instagram and fighting on these guys. He's now over 20-something thousand, followers. Wow. So, it's a, sweet salt thing. It's kind of like, okay, it's not ideal for the real boxing fans. But like I tell people, you're complaining about it, but then you're the same ones that don't come out to show up to the little hot boxing series. If it's not a world title fight or a super big event, a lot of people don't show up.
Yeah.
That's what we need fans to come out and support. The Juan Zayas when they're coming out, the Wilitos, the Febus, all these young guys that are coming out, you have to support them. So, I take it like it is. These guys are bringing extra fans to the seats. You go from arenas that just regular boxing, you have 6, 7, 8,000 fans, and you add these guys to the show, and now you're bringing in 10, 15, 12,000 fans. So, at some point, you have to say you gotta adjust. You gotta move with time. It's almost like back in the days, social media wasn't such a big thing, and now it's pretty much everything. It's how people promote all their platforms.
That's a good point. Yeah. Let me see who else. Who else can we bring to the table here? We already spoke about this way, but let's talk about the trainer for a little bit. You mentioned him a little bit earlier. Trainer of the year in 2023. Tell us a little bit about him because he doesn't really get the recognition that he deserves outside of Puerto Rico.
Well, again, back to the programs. He's a pioneer, man. This guy, I want to say that he's, if not the main reason I'm in boxing. I can't say what other word to describe him. He saw what my struggles as a manager. People don't understand. Sometimes these fighters, they don't want it as bad as they need to want it, and it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time invested, and when a fighter doesn't take this as serious as he's supposed to, you're really playing with your life, and sometimes you don't want to be a part of that. Unfortunately, I had a situation like that where I had a fighter that was undefeated, tremendous talent, but he was lacking in the training part, and it was evident when he was coming in overweight, in a couple of bouts, and due to him not taking the sport serious, he got hurt in the ring. He was tired in one of the bouts, and he got stopped in BB King's. He was a main event in one of the Bella cards. His name is Joel Torres. I can speak freely about that because there was even years that he was mad at me because I released him, and it was something that I had to do because I didn't want to be a part of somebody getting hurt under my watch, and this is really important. A lot of people just look at this to make some money off the back of these young men and women. And you can't forget they're risking their life. Anytime that bell rings, that's a life that's in the ring. And you can't be a part of bringing somebody in the ring that's not ready. So just to go back to Emilio, that particular fighter was his childhood friend. They used to box together. Emilio was an amateur boxer. He turned pro. He was able to have one professional fight. Um, and he saw the treatment and what I did with his friend. And I was already exhausted, from just, again, it's not easy to manage. Some people, they have no idea to get into the game. You want to manage a fighter. Where is he going to fight? Who's going to sign him? How much do you have to? It's a lot. It's a lot involved. So I was drained, honestly. And he really came up to me one day and said, look, I really admire what you did, with my friend, and I know who you are really well. I admire your work. You can't give up because my kids are gonna grow up one day, and I need somebody like you that's gonna look out for them, and take care of them, and that stuck to me. I said, wow, somebody is actually watching, and I embraced that, and we basically waited for Jose Roman, Cheito, and Brian Chevalier, older, turn them pro, and here we are years later, we all know Chevalier, 22 victories, 3 defeats,
Yeah.
knockouts, and Roman, 15-2 with 6 KOs. So those two young men, were the leaders of this team effort that me and Emilio started years ago, and the rest have followed. Juan Zayas, Wilito Ortiz, we have Yadier Santiago, Manuel Febus, Mario Rodriguez.
This guy right here.
That guy there, he's another tremendous fighter. He's the #1 ranked lightweight from Puerto Rico, Capitan Barreto. He's
This guy.
king of action, man. So proud, man, proud and happy to be working with Emilio side by side. We work like a fluid machine. We talk everything. It's not nobody's the boss here. We talk like brothers. We look for the best opportunities for our kids, and we intend to just keep taking it. We've won 6 regional champions together. And we're looking for that elusive world champion, and I feel like we're close.
I do believe so too. I think this is one of them. I think this guy right here is one of them. He's an excellent talent. He's a big puncher. He loves to fight. The only question I have for you is, like, his last fight, he did suffer that cut. Is that close to healing? Is he like back in the gym? What's the situation with him?
He's a gym rat, so he's back. He's been back in the gym. He actually hurt his hand as well. That's what makes him even a more special fighter. I mean, watch his fight. I mean, he hurt his right hand from the 4th going into the 5th round, and at one point he even changed southpaw, and he was just banging away with that left. He
did. I found that awkward. I didn't know he hurt his hand.
Yeah, because using it just to kind of like just and everything was the left. Last
Hold on one second. I think you broke up a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that all right? Let's see. Go ahead. Try again.
Yeah, except in the last round that he was like, hey, let me finish this fight really strong, because that's just the type of fighter he is. Even though he hurt his hand, he used it in the last round. But he's a really exciting fighter, man. All action, this kid. And he'll be ready. He has we have some dates coming up early next year as well. And you're going to be seeing a lot of Christian Barreto on the big stage soon as well.
Okay. And I got one more picture of a fighter, and then I got another fight I want to mention that I really like. I didn't get a picture of him, but let's talk about my guy. He's here with Jan, from the Bronx. This is my guy right here, man. Maelo.
That kid, man, it was a great signing, man. What a tremendous talent. What even tremendous human being he is. So with Maelo, man, as you know, we picked him up. He was coming off a couple of defeats. And the strategy with him was simple. We're gonna keep him busy. We've already had him go to the DR a couple of fights just to keep him busy, not no gimmies. Just you got to fight out there now. There's no gimmies out there. You got to go and fight. So we have him. We put him out there twice. We're looking for big fights for him. He's a type of fighter that he's always in the gym. He's always ready. And we're looking for the big opportunities. They called us to fight Ammo Williams. It was just too short notice. I believe that would have been a tremendous fight for us.
Yeah.
Just that they really didn't give us enough time at all. So fair to say that even though he's in shape, you still need some type of time to prepare for that caliber of opponent. But that tells you that we're getting some calls. And other than that, remember, he signed with a Universal in Puerto Rico. So the plan is, if we don't get a big call by the end of the year, maybe get him one more fight and then bring him to Puerto Rico by next year to introduce him to the Puerto Rican fans out there and maybe try to get him like a regional belt as well on our own to keep getting them ranked. So, we have a lot of stuff cooking for Maelo as well. Great talent, and he's going to be busy as well coming into the next year.
Oh, yes, indeed, man. And he's a great guy overall. I think he's just a special and he's just a great human being. My wife met him and thought he was like the nicest guy in the world. And he really is. You never would think he's a fighter. I mean, he looks like a fighter. I mean, this guy's always looks like he's ready. And shout out to our friend Socrates, who gets him conditioned really well, right? So Socrates gets him there too. So shout out to Maelo, man. I'm a big fan, and he's just and a good friend as well. He's a great guy. One more fighter, and then you tell us about anybody that I may have missed that you want to mention. But I didn't get a picture, but I'm really high on this kid right here. Let me put it on the screen. Wilito.
Oh yeah. Wilito is supposed to go on the 22nd to close out the year. He's not on that card anymore due to personal reasons.
Okay.
But tremendous talent, man. That kid is a tall junior welterweight moving into the welterweight division. And we expect big things from him. Early next year, we should have him on a show in Matchroom. We're waiting for the exact date to come. Obviously when the year turns. But Wilito he's a great boxer, great puncher, and we expect a lot of big things from Wilito as well. We're really happy with his development.
Yeah, he's a boxer puncher, and his IQ is I think his IQ is a little special. I mean, Puerto Rican fighters are not known to have great IQs. I mean, they're good boxers and known for their left hooks and stuff. But this guy, he's very intelligent in the ring. He makes great adjustments. He sees things happen. He sets traps. I think this kid could be very, very special.
Well, that goes back to talking about Emilio. This is a trainer. This is the type of trainer that he can literally take a kid that's never thrown a punch in his life and this product. All the fighters that we're talking about right now, Wilito, Roman, at one point, Maddox was saying that he looked like a world champion, and Sergio Mora was mentioning how skilled he is. That's all the good training. There's a great school that Emilio has there that's about teaching guys how to fight. It's not just going in there and being bangers. You have to know how to fight all distances. Long, middle range, short range. You see a guy like Roman who's over 6 feet and he can still fight all your ranges, and that's taught. That's just taught stuff. And then you get a guy like Santana who's just super special, and you put him in his hands and you got a beautiful combination. You got a boxer like Santana that could punch the lights out of anybody, and you can see why with 15 fights he's ranked in the top 10 in the world.
Okay. Yeah, that is true. And Emilio's a great trainer as well. That helps. But I don't have any other fighters, but if there's anybody that missed it you want to mention that's coming up soon, go ahead. And then also shout out your gym too. You work with 2 gyms, one here in the Bronx and one in Puerto Rico as well.
Absolutely. We got Bronx Chessa, that's owned and managed by AA, the best fight gear in town. All the fighters need their fight gear done. We got Angel AA, that's my brother. We're a complete team. We got the trainers, we got the gear. That's we love it. We live and breathe this boxing stuff. So as far as other fighters, man, yeah, we have Abner Figueroa, to another company in Puerto Rico called La 22 Sports. It's another company that's doing shows in Puerto Rico. And he's a southpaw from Naranjito. He's also undefeated. And he's a main event type fighter. He sells a bunch of tickets, so he's a good young man. And he's gonna be on somebody's card that's really big coming soon. So one of the big cards coming up in Puerto Rico. You're gonna see his name involved, and we'll touch more on that when the time is right. But
Okay.
be on the big and the other kid that we just signed, Manuel Febus, I mean, tremendous talent as well. He's fighting on the 22nd of November as well. This kid, representing Puerto Rico internationally as well. Really, really good puncher, good athlete, tremendous shape. And he's also a big fan-friendly fighter. So he turned pro in September, going again in November on the 22nd.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, we got Chadi. Chadi, of course, we tripped the last time. This again is your boxing is like a minefield, man.
Yeah.
Fought early, and unfortunately, back to the drawing board. But he's gonna be back. One good fight back in the mix. So
okay. And Chadi's very popular out there. Like he gets a lot of fans. A lot of people come support him.
Chadi's the only fighter that I've ever dealt with, or that I even seen rather, that can actually show up to pick up the tickets with money in hand. Like he'll
wow, that's great.
Before he's a very popular. He's a fan. Back to again, fan friendly. Like him. So that's why sometimes you pay for it. The last fight, he went after the guy a little too early in court. So part of the game.
Yeah. Okay. D3, you got anything?
No, yeah, I was gonna ask. I know we was mentioning Puerto Rico. Do you ever get a chance to work with Miguel Cotto?
I'm sorry?
Do you ever get a chance to work with Miguel Cotto?
Well, yeah, of course. Well, he's the promoter. So, basically, you have Hector and you have Brian, who are the face of the company. But of course, when Miguel Cotto saw Jan Santana, that said, I need this kid, and I need to.
Background. Hold on. Sorry, there's background noise. Hold on. Say that again. I'm sorry. You got cut off a little bit. Go ahead.
No, I said Miguel Cotto himself is the one that actually picked up on Jan Santana when we introduced him fighting in one of his cards. So, you have Hector Soto and you have Brian Perez, who they are the leaders of the company, but Miguel Cotto is always in the background, and he's always calling the shots behind the scenes. He's not out there, but he's always heavily involved, and when he likes something, he lets it be known. So Jan Santana, for example, and Barreto's another example. He knows he has special talents in his hands there. So we have a lot of plans for them, for especially those two fighters coming up.
Okay. I got one last question. You're gonna laugh at this one, and you laugh at this all the time, and my wife makes fun of me about it all the time. But do any of your fighters speak English for us non-speaking Puerto Ricans here on the panel?
Yeah, Christian Barreto speaks really well. Christian Barreto's the guy you want to interview. He speaks really good English. He lived in Florida some years, so
okay.
Melendez, don't forget about Chucho, another fighter.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for big fights for him too. He's a tremendous lightweight. Chucho Melendez, 18-3 with 14 knockouts. He's a tremendous fighter as well. He's actually going to be training in Texas in Shakur's camp.
Nice.
Moses. So
okay,
that's just happening now, and we're waiting to get him in the ring with a big opportunity as well. That's also another talent that have on ready to fight. So again, man, just opportunities. Like I said, even Roman. Just being here with, and going home safe to your families that's all we can ask for, man. Entertain and have these young men and women go home safely to their families, man. So it's just like I said, game though, sometimes when the judges do such poor jobs that it turns people off, But this is just got to keep grinding. It's part of it,
Yeah, no, of course that's the game, So. Well, that's great. I mean, I would love to interview El Capitan. I'll get my El Capitan. So that's my wife calls me El Capitan. So, I'll get El Capitan to El Capitan, and I'll love to interview. I want to get Jan Santana on. I'll get see if Socrates will come on and do some translations for me.
Listen, interview any of the guys anytime, man. I'm really thankful for your time. You know, I really appreciate what you do for the sport. You know, you talk good stuff about boxing, and that's what we need. We need, you know, fresh air, a breath of fresh air, where you talk about even like, you know, Tales of the B side. You know, very creative stuff, and that's important for people to dive into a little bit more that want to know, you know, what boxing is. It's not just big Canelo Crawford fights, man. There's a lot of things that happen for these guys just to even make it to those cards and on, you know, on the screen itself. You know, you have fighters that have never been on TV, man, that should go down memory lane for their performances in the ring, and we'll never know about it because just people don't talk about them. You know, they don't put.
Well, and that's what we do. That's what D3 does. And that's what I try to do. We try to build up the sport and appreciate all fighters, not just the top known fighters, winners and losers. Because listen, man, it takes a lot just to get in that ring, the preparation, the grind. I mean, we know what it is, and what we want to do here in the channel is just appreciate all fighters and let them tell their stories. If you know, they give us the opportunity, you know, to come on the panel and to broadcast with us, you know, tell their story, to educate other fighters and the fans as well, what goes on behind the scenes, what it takes to be a fighter, you know, and you know, that's basically what it is, you know, and we have fun with it as well. But to me, it's more educational than anything, you know what I'm saying? And we're building up the sport.
Absolutely agree 100%, man, and that's what we need. Like you said, get the voice out there. There's still people, you know, it's like you know, oh, boxing is dying. Not when you put in 80,000, you know, people in the stands, you know, not when you put in 50, 20, 30. So, you know, there are these huge events that show that the people still want to come out and watch the fights. It's just more of a matter of getting more grassroots, and that's what you guys do. Let's put the eyes on the young prospects that are coming out. People like Sports Legends that he interviews, a lot of amateurs and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of people out there that's what we need. That's what we need. We need more voices to have the people come out. Again, you criticize when the YouTube guys, you know, fight, but they're putting people in the stands, you know. So let's support the fighters, man. Let's support the fighters. I give you an example. Even the sponsors, you know, I've been dealing with a lot of sponsors coming up with the fighters and stuff like that. And one of the gentlemen that I talked to, he's talking about numbers, but in the same sentence, he's talking about the YouTubers. Like, I really don't like the YouTubers. I'm like, well, if I tell you that if you sponsor my kid and if it's just a regular boxing event and there's no YouTubers and there's 5,000 people in the stands, or would you prefer for him to be in an event where there's a YouTuber where there's 15,000 people in the stands and is being covered, obviously at a higher level? Which one would you prefer? And he goes, well, the point is to get my product out there. So I said, there you go. So again, it's a give and take. You know, it's not for the hardcore boxing fan. It's almost like you get offended. You have to take it with a grain of salt. They're hoping the sport get into eyes and to get into living rooms that normally they wouldn't be in, you know, and to a point where, like, again, Jake Paul, look what he's, you know, again, you got to give kudos where they're due. Look what he did with Amanda, the women's boxing. The programs that he's in Puerto Rico, with the WBO, they, you know, I personally, because Emilio is hands-on with those projects, you know, refurbishing all these gyms. And these are places that were just straight up abandoned, that after Maria, they weren't even, you know, operable. And he came in there with the WBO, and they've done several gyms, you know, all over the island. So there is good coming out of all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be thankful as well. You can't just sit there and talk about the bad. You have to talk about the good as well. And, you know, and I'm one that voices that. Again, at first you kind of like, oh man, you know, they're going to make fun of boxing. But again, if you look at what he's doing, he's actually not making fun, because he is training really hard. Too, you can't forget he's still a showman. So, you know, don't fall for the hype with who he's fighting and where, because, you know, he's also an entertainer. So you don't knew what that was with, and it was, you know, a glorified exhibition match, and that's what it is. It's not more than that, you know. But people take it to, oh, you know, Tyson should have knocked him out. I mean, Tyson went in there to make some good money.
You're right.
Netflix, they froze Netflix. Have you ever seen Freeze Up? So
that's true. You know, and they had a good undercard. That was Amanda and Katie. That was a great fight.
Those eyes were not gonna be on regular boxing if it wasn't for those people. So and we take it, man. As long as there's people watching, Chevalier is one that always says, whether you like me or not, if you're watching me, I love you.
Yeah. And that's true. That's what you want. That's what you want. People, the fighters fight. You want to win championships, but at the end of the day, they want to fight in front of big crowds. They want people to come see them and cheer them on. I think that's what the fighters really want most. Of course, they want the money, they want the fame, they want the belts. But I think, in my opinion, I think they want to fight against big crowds. That's why when they had the Times Square event, there's no fans. Like, what was that? I don't think they were really into it. That's what I thought. To me, it was nothing. People fight. They get from maybe fighting in a school gym to maybe a little high school auditorium to a small arena and a big arena, outside arena. That's what the goal is, to fight in front of 50,000, 60,000 people if they can. That's what I think a fighter really wants.
Modern day gladiator. What did the gladiators fight? They fought in big arenas, and that's as a fighter, you're a modern day gladiator, and that's what you want. You want all eyes on you. For that moment, everything stops and everything is on you, and that's why. Think about it. People pay to watch these fighters because it's a special thing when they get in that ring. It's like all eyes on athletes, and they're giving it all. So you gotta respect the game. And even again, that you would look what these guys are imitating, because it's just something to appreciate. Thanks.
Yeah. Absolutely, Ricardo. You've been great, my man BVO, who we're gonna beat up next time we see him. This story is kind of true. We went out to dinner, and he said I tried to put him and his wife in a Haitian cab car. It was a dollar cab that was outside, and I was like, "Yo, why don't you take that?" I ended up taking it with my wife. Then my wife yelled at me, but but that's a true story. But we're gonna let you go. I appreciate you, because my man BVO is gonna go live in a couple minutes. So, but Ricardo, man, this has been great. We'll talk behind the scenes. I would love to get one of the fighters on, El Capitan, Jan, anybody, and just chop it up with them. 20 minutes. It don't even have to be long. Let them introduce themselves on our platform to the people.
Appreciate that, man. And again, thank you guys for your time. Keep it up. TD Sports Talk. Let's go, baby.
Thank you, Ricardo. I appreciate you, man.
Bless, guys.
Take care. All right, guys, man. That was my man Ricardo Figueroa from Real Fighters Boxing Management. He manages a few fighters. He spoke about a handful of them earlier today, earlier in the video. So if you're watching the replay, go back and check. I appreciate everybody that came through the building. My man BVO is about to go live in a minute or two, so go head over there. I'll be over there as well. D Free, you got any last words?
Nah, man. Y'all make sure y'all smash the like button on the way out. And this is what we doing over here, the Sports Talk Network. We getting you the interviews with the real people that's in the ring, that's doing the work behind the scenes.
Absolutely. That's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to, have a little fun, build the sport up, get these fighters, some exposure, and that's what it is, man. It's nothing crazy. We're not doing this, because we have to. We're doing this because we want to, and because we love the sport of boxing. Also, by the way, I went 2-1 on my football picks. We're going to talk about that Friday night. What we do on NFL picks. I just wanted to I had a good football week. I had 2-1 on my picks, not too shabby, and I'm tied in first in the league. So that's all I got to say. But guys, BBO is going to be live, and we're going to head over there. All right, I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Keep it in the ring with Rich Mancuso. Take care, everybody.
Recently, news of Soul Legend